why I feel the Miata is a little bit overrated. She's here, boys. 2024 MX-5 Miata. This is the ND3 Club with the Brembo BBS Recaro package in Soul Red Crystal Metallic, which I think right now is the best color for the MX-5, but we'll talk about why I might be regretting that very soon. Big thanks to Cardinale Way Mazda out here in Las Vegas. They've been taking care of my CX-50. I got all my service done here, and they sold me this MX-5. It was quite a wait because you have to actually order it from Japan. They don't actually send the BBRs to the dealers, I guess, with the 2024s. And I think I ordered it in May or June. I think it was May. Ordered the car in May, and it is now early September. Here is the window sticker. Miatas are getting expensive. The total vehicle, with options and such, is $38K because the base price is $32,500, but then you get another almost $5,000 for the BBS package, which is the Brembo brakes, the BBS wheels, and the Recaro seats. And it's actually not a great value, if I'm being honest, but it is worthwhile if you have the cash to spend. It's just that in the aftermarket, you may want to get your own wheels, you may want to get different seats. When you go to the GR86 and the BRZ, you get the TS, you get the upgraded brakes and dampers. I think that is actually a very good value, a very good deal. I specifically asked them not to wash the car, so don't worry, if you buy a car here, they will wash it, but I'm one of those guys that cares about swirl marks and the paint, and just as a rule for myself, whenever I pick up a car from the dealer, I asked them to specifically not wash the car. Did the same with my GR86. Look at that paint underneath. Now, why do I possibly regret getting the red? I think the red is the best current color for the Miata. And you see that color on the interior too in the ND, which I think is a very nice touch. I think it's cool. Let's get this situated. Ah, that new car smell. It's the standard Mazda key, for those who are wondering. I am 6'1", and the hard top is no bueno for me. Soft top gives you a little bit more clearance, so happy about that. The Club does not come with climate control. Got to do this the old school way. And also does not come with automatic headlights, which, if I'm being honest, at this price point of $40K, seems a bit silly. But again, that's not what the Mazda Miata is all about, so not a huge deal. Seat is pushed back all the way. I am just at the limit of what this car can do in terms of size. Or rather, I should say, who can comfortably fit in a car like this. I'm 180 pounds, 6'1". I think with a helmet and a roll bar, I should be good on track, but we'll see. We will see about that. Boom. Break-in on this car is 600 miles. The Mazda handbook, the manual, doesn't seem as strict with break-in procedure as some other vehicles. And many will make the case and argue that you don't even need to worry about that in modern vehicles, but peace of mind, I've done it with all my cars. And And we'll do the same thing here. We'll do 600 miles, nice and easy, keeping it below 4K. As we get closer to 600 miles, we'll actually start pushing it a bit closer to redline, 500 RPM increments as we approach, but not doing any sustained hard driving, just following best practices. And then, once we do hit 600 miles, we will do an oil change and absolutely send it. Such a great manual transmission. Alright, so why did I choose an ND Miata? A lot of you have been asking what car I'm going to get next. I was actually leaning towards an S2000. I did some reviews, some comparisons, the ND versus the S2000, and I think this is a better modern vehicle, but the S2000 is, it's a more emotional, a more visceral vehicle, a little bit more raw. The drivetrain in that is so special. But this car is newer. It has the warranty. It has CarPlay, better safety. It has almost as good of a manual transmission. It has better steering. It is, you're not worried about parts and such. And it has that motorsports development from Mazda. It's actually better engineered in certain ways, right? With all these years and years of the N8, NB, NC, and now ND. And you have that better chassis rigidity. People honking a lot in Vegas today. So, the main reason, what it really boils down to, is the use. Dude, what is this guy doing? The use case for this vehicle. If I was keeping this third vehicle, so for those who don't know, I have a 2024 Mazda CX-50. Bro, this guy. You seen this? I have a 2023 Mazda CX-50, a 24 Lotus Emira, and now a 24 MX-5. Now, I'm not going to be keeping this most of the time out here in Las Vegas. The plan right now is to actually keep this at my girlfriend's place so that I have a car to drive when I'm visiting her, which is in a different city. And for dual duty of a daily plus an occasional track toy, I think the ND3 is hard to beat. If I was keeping the car just in Vegas and it was purely a fun weekend car and track toy, more emphasis on the track toy because the Emira is kind of the fun weekend car for me right now, then I would have gone actually AP2 S2000 and modified the shit out of that. Because some of my favorite cars to drive ever have been tastefully modified S2000s. The ND Miata, I'm confident that, of course, I'm going to be modifying this over the next couple of years. I'm confident I can get this to the point where it too drives in a very engaging and rewarding way. But when people talk about how the Miata, Miata is always the answer, yada yada yada, and it's such a perfect car and the balance and this and that, I think it's actually overrated. Completely stock, straight out of the factory, I would say the Miata actually, it's fun for day-to-day use, but when you want to start pushing it harder, the suspension's a little bit too soft. You can largely address that with sway bars, of course. I will be eventually getting coilovers on this car. I will be tracking it, and ultimately turning this into a car that I can really push hard without guilt. That's actually one thing I've been missing with the Emira. The Emira is a much more expensive car. It's $105,000 MSRP. You add the various taxes and fees and all that stuff. It's $120K out the door. It's like 3 times the price of this car. This car is a little bit, maybe like 42 or something out the door. And when the car, with the Emira being over 100K, I get a bit more precious about it. I'm worried about it getting damaged. I got the whole car PPF so that when I do track it later this month, I'm not as concerned about rock chips. And I miss having a car like my old FRS or my old GR86 where it was at a lower price point. Not necessarily a super cheap car, right? I think 40K for a Miata, that's not cheap. But the nature of the car, the price point, but also the size of the car, how, you know, the power level, the weight, the way that it communicates with you as you drive. It's one of those cars where you can feel more comfortable repeatedly pushing it on the streets. I mean, look at these grid streets here in Vegas, not the most exciting roads. And I missed it with the GR86. I could just beat on it and get it sideways going around random left turns or right turns. And this Miata, I'm hoping, is gonna fill that gap. Now, when I say the Miata is overrated, I mean purely from the driving enthusiast perspective. Part of the joy of the Miata is how small and light and simple it is. It's more than just the driving dynamics. There's other joy to it, and even my mom, who's not a car enthusiast at all, loves the car just because it's so small and cute and happy and fun. What it represents. People act as if it's the perfect car, it's so fun and just the way it is, and I get it, it's like a meme at this point, right? But the issues I have with the Miata, number one, the engine, I wish it was a little bit more fizzy, a little bit more special, a little bit more raw. I get it, emissions, I get it, NVH, not everyone wants some really raw car, they want a weekend cruiser. The average person who's buying this is probably not like me. I'm very grateful they improved the steering in particular. They made some other changes with the 24, like the headlights and the nicer, larger screen here with the thinner bezels and yada yada yada. But the big thing for me was the steering, because the ND2, the steering was numb enough that I didn't want to buy it. And with the ND3, the improvement was such that I felt this would not bother me driving day to day. It's still not amazing steering, but it is quite good now. It is definitely a lot better. Well, I shouldn't say a lot better. It is noticeably better than the ND2, and depending on where your priorities lie, I care more about steering than the average person. Some viewers joke that I'm a steering fetishist. It matters to me, but I think to a lot of people, and you can even see other car reviewers who have compared the two, they barely notice a difference. And that's okay. We all have different things that we prioritize and value in cars. Now, the reason why I might regret this Soul Red Crystal Metallic paint is because with the 35th anniversary Miata that's coming out, rumors are it's going to be in British racing green with a tan leather interior, which, oh my god, that would be such fucking money. That would be my choice over this. I think the red is a beautiful color, but that green and tan combo in a Miata, you gotta remember the Miata was inspired by light British roadsters. It would just feel so right. It would be so classy and I think very sexy. But the reason why red, I think, is also a very good option, not only is it a beautiful color, I'm very much pro fun colors on cars, and let's get away from grayscale and monochromatic stuff. Jesus. But one of the benefits is it's safer. Red and yellow cars get in fewer accidents because they are more visible to the human eye. The downside is that they also get more tickets than other colored cars. So it's a trade-off, right? Cops are going to notice you more, but guess what? The average Joe is going to notice you more as well. And I'm less concerned about cops. I've never gotten a speeding ticket, knock on wood, but other people hitting me in a small car like this, I am very concerned about, especially when you have big-ass trucks and big-ass SUVs out here in America. Now, in my dream world, if I had no restrictions, I would have bought a Honda S660, but there's two reasons why I can't do that. The first and most important reason is because the 25-year import ban rule. You can't actually buy a Honda S660 and import it to the US and drive it on the streets. So that's the big reason. The second reason is that that car is so small and these cars in America are so big compared to Japan that I just simply wouldn't feel safe in a Honda S660. But I love that car. It was so much fun when I rented it out in Japan earlier this year. Now there are a few things that the GT has that I wish the Club trim had, but again, the Club trim is the only one that gives you the option for the Brembo BBS Recaro package. So if you're a car enthusiast, that's probably the one you're gonna get. One thing I miss is the soft top on the GT has either extra lining or thicker lining, better sound deadening. So when you're on the highway, you're gonna notice a difference in the sound levels. Here on these grid streets, not as much of a difference. The other things would be the climate control, as well as the automatic headlights. I think those are two very cheap and simple things that it seems silly to me to not include on a $40,000 car. And other than that, pretty happy with this spec, with this trim. Although keep in mind, you are gonna have to get black interior. This is my only car that has black interior. My Lotus Emira has a tan leather interior and my CX-50 has the terracotta interior. I specifically wanted that terracotta over the black because I'm all for colors. And I think it's okay in a car like this. The red and black works, but just keep that in mind. You can't get tan, you can't get any other interesting color for your interior. But in this vehicle, I'm all right with that. I've got several plans for this vehicle, so if you aren't already subscribed, consider doing so. It's gonna be a fun journey. I'll be taking this up the PCH Highway 1 California coast. That's gonna be exciting. We're gonna be modifying this car. I'll try to track it stock first and then add the modifications from there and then show you how it evolves, the handling characteristics, the behavior on track, what I recommend, what I don't recommend. And overall, I'm just excited to have a light, tossable daily sports car because I just drive my Mazda CX-50 most days and the Emira is more for, you know, fun and weekends and things like that. And this is a car that I can just take to the gym, take to the grocery store, not worry about it at all. And for that, I'm very grateful. My friends, thanks for watching. Much love, and I'll see you all in the next one.